and we're going to get started. Well, welcome. My name is Jennifer Owens, and I am going to take you through some very interesting things today having to do with PowerPoint. The first thing I want to do is I'm going to minimize PowerPoint real quick, because usually what you would see is a sleek presentation. You would never see this view when I do a webinar, but since this is about giving a presentation, you're actually going to see parts that I normally would not show to you. So I'm going to minimize PowerPoint for a second. And I want to, first of all, let you know that whenever we take, whenever I ask a question, we're going to do two things. One, you're going to be raising your hand, and second, you will be contributing to a Google Doc. First of all, if you're not familiar with Zoom, I want you to first of all find the manage participant, or sorry, the participants button. Mine says manage participants, yours probably says something a little different. But when you click on the participant button, you will also see a raise your hand button. And I'm going to have everybody raise their hand so I know that you know how to do it. I've got 3 out of 4, 4 out of 4. There we go. That's everybody. And then just click to unraise your hand, and I think we're good. Excellent. Now, I also, real quickly, because I can only switch between 2 views at once, I want to make sure that when I go into the presenter view inside of PowerPoint, I want to make sure that you can see the actual presenter view. So I'm going to open up PowerPoint, and I'm going to go into the presenter view, and then I want you to raise your hand if you see what I want you to see, and I'll tell you what I expect you to see. So when I open PowerPoint and go into my presentation, whenever I start my slideshow, what you should see now is just a regular slideshow. So when I go to my introduction page, my name is Jennifer Owens, by the way. I'm a software trainer by day, and I am an aspiring chef by night, which means that I burn a lot of things and I try a lot of recipes. But you can always contact me by my email address, which I will also have provided in the Google Doc for you. But for the presentation view, in the lower left-hand corner, if you click the ellipses or the 3 dots, whenever you're inside of a slideshow, actually showing a slideshow, you're going to go into, you have the option to go into presenter view, which is the 3rd option. I'm going to click show presenter view. And now real quickly, I'm going to go back because I want to make sure that my screen, my screen was shared properly with everybody. That desktop, share screen, and now we should be able to go into presentation view. Okay. So back to my regular presentation. When I go to show presenter view, what everybody should see right now is a black background with 2 different slides, and the larger one should say PowerPoint's presentation features. If that's what you see, please raise your hand. Okay, it looks like we can see it now. Perfect. All right. Now there are some navigation, some different navigations. At the bottom, the first navigation is just it says slides 1 through 13. I'm just going to click the next slide. Sorry. And what you'll see here are the objectives, but then you'll also see the next slide that's coming up on the far right-hand side. So our objectives today, I'm going to demonstrate to you how to highlight and annotate a PowerPoint within your presentation when you're in the presentation view, how to do a blackout and whiteout, how to zoom, and how to jump. By the end of this presentation, you should be able to list 2 to 5 keyboard shortcuts that you can use in the presentation view, and then also be able to recognize and understand different situations which you would use these different features. And this is interesting because you get to see all of my notes. This is kind of the behind the scenes version of everything. So the next slide up, I have a question for you, and this is where you get to raise your hand again. Have you ever used any of the features available in presentation mode that were listed in the objectives? And to raise your hand, just go to participants and click raise hand if you have. I have one person who has, two people who have, three. I've got four. Okay, this is good. And later, we will talk about different ways, since you guys are fairly experienced, different ways in which you have used these options. First off is annotation and highlighting. So what if you need to annotate? Well, the first thing you have here is a pen. If you look in the lower left-hand corner, you've got a picture of a pen, and it has several options. You can change it to a laser pointer, so I can move this around, and that's what they'll see on the screen. I can change it to an actual pen, so I can write. I'm not sure how skilled I am at doing this. I probably wouldn't actually write words. I would probably use it more if I were going to mark something out. You have the option to highlight something. So if I wanted to highlight a word or a phrase, and you can change ink color as well. I'll just change this real quickly to a nice little blue color, and we'll highlight, just to give you an idea of what you can do. If you need to erase, I just clicked the E button on my computer, and it erased everything on my screen. What if we need to do a blackout? This one is super easy and very helpful as well. If you need to black out your screen, just hit the B key and it will black everything out. I'm going to hit B again, it's a toggle, and then it will bring it back. And we're having a little bit of a delay, it looks like, in the processing here, so please bear with me. Okay, I'm going to adjust my computer real quick. There we go. Okay. And amazingly enough, as many times as I have tried this, PowerPoint has stopped responding. How fun is this? So I'm going to close the program, and I will get back into it, and we will jump back in. For those of you who are in my class, this is excellent fodder for, for things to come. If you haven't done your presentation yet, be prepared. Okay. Been trying out Articulate, seeing if that's something that we want to switch over to. All right. Going to go back into my presentation and into presenter view. And I was showing you the blackout option where you just hit the B key. Well, one of the things that I'm able to do, and I'm actually skipping ahead because I need to do this, I don't need you to see me scroll through everything. I just need to get to where I was before. So I can go directly to the slide, and that second icon will show you all of your slides. show you how I did that again. I just pressed that second button. I selected my slide, clicked on it, and now I'm back to where I was. So going back to my blackout, if you hit the B key, it'll black it out, and then it's a toggle to bring it back. This works really well if you are in a dark room, but if you are in a bright room, I would recommend using the whiteout, which is the W key, and it'll just white things out. Next, if you need to zoom in onto something that is in your presentation, let's say that I really wanted to look at the writing that is on this guy's zoom lens. The third icon is the zoom into the slide button. I click that button, and now I'm going to click exactly where I want to zoom into. Now we can see the exact part of it, because sometimes in our slides, it can be difficult for people to see, especially if you're presenting in front of people and you've got people on the back row. It's a lot easier for them to see if you can zoom in on something that you specifically want them to look at. This prevents me from having to do a lot of the what I'm having to do now, which is in the lower right-hand corner, in the upper left-hand corner. This way you can just zoom in directly to what you want them to look at. If you press the zoom button again, then it will toggle back out. And the last one is what if you need to skip to a section or slide. I actually was in a presentation that was scheduled for 90 minutes, and we were probably about, I would say, not even halfway through the presentation, and the client on the other end said, you know what, we don't want to go over any of really what was the next 40 minutes of the presentation. We want to skip directly to, which was pretty much almost the end of my presentation, but not quite. So instead of having to have them watch me go through and scroll through slides, because the last thing you want is to see them doing this. Oh, hold on, let me get there. That is horrific. And when I see that happening, I want to panic, because number one, you can very quickly say, absolutely, I'm going to hit my B key to go black. I'm going to go to my see all slides. I'm going to skip to the end. And we can, without them having to see me go through slides. My particular slide presentations are around about an hour's worth, has 300 slides in it, because every slide is a click, because we do technology, which is why I would love to switch to Articulate. But this is a really great way to jump around. The other thing you can do, if you happen to know the number of the slide you need to go to, I always have at least, you can do one of two things. You can either print out your slides with having them being numbered and just have them next to you, just for a quick visual reference. But I prefer to have them, at least my top ones, memorized. If somebody said, you know, can you go directly to, let's say that we happen to be almost at the end. Let's choose, yeah, that was the end, that's perfect. And you wanted me to, somebody said, okay, what was your email address again? Well, I know that that was the second slide. So all you have to do is press the number of the slide, which is 2, and then enter. So I'm going to press 2 and then enter, and immediately slide number 2 will show. But as I said, you can just click on that button and then go ahead forward, and that's how we skip through. All right, so I'm going to send you a link to a Google Doc here in chat, but the question that I would like you to answer is, how do you see yourself using these features, the highlight, annotate, blackout, whiteout, zoom, and jump? And then I will, if we don't cover them all, then I will give you some other little tips and ideas. And I am trying to send this to you in chat. I'll go copy this again. I had this all set up so that when I shared it with you, it was already on my clipboard. There we go. All right, if you'll just click that link to the Google Doc, I'm going to actually go over there and see what your responses are. Because everybody has a different way that they will use this and reasons why they would use them. But when you're answering, if you would also let me know if you will mainly be using PowerPoint for webinars or if you will be using them mainly in front of people or for both. I started out using PowerPoint in front of a live audience and didn't start doing webinars until much later. But what I learned as a presenter in front of people really has helped. All right, and you can see what everybody is answering, and I'm just going to give it a little bit here while everybody types in their answers. All right. And I know you guys can read this too, but I really, it seems like the blackout feature is one of the more popular for those of you who have not used it before. One of the reasons that you guys did not list, and this is particular for if you're in front of a live audience, one of the reasons I use the blackout or the whiteout feature is a lot of times, if you think when you have people in a room, they tend to focus their eyes on the PowerPoint because that's the visual. But if what I am saying is more important and I need them to focus on me, or if I think they're zoning out and just kind of, I hate to say this, pretending to stare at the screen, if you black out the screen, if you white out the screen, then their attention is not going to stay on a black or a white screen. It's going to be diverted away. That way you can get the attention back on you so they're focusing on what you are saying. So that is another thing. And I'm going to add in to this particular document some other reasons, the one I just spoke of, but I wanted this particular document to be clean so that you could put your answers in there first. And I will add mine later. So within a half hour, you can go back to this document and I'll have it updated for you for other reasons why and how we can use this. But for me, one of my biggest pet peeves is, especially in an executive situation where people are going through their presentation, and whether they lose their place or whether they are they need to skip a section or they weren't quite expecting what was coming next. I hate seeing people scroll through their slides to find the next thing when it is so easy to use a different view. And I've actually seen a lot of executives who didn't know that this particular view existed. And a lot of them, they don't know that it shows up unless one of two things happens. Unless they start using two screens, then all of a sudden it's like, whoa, what happened? Where is this new screen? This is amazing. Because all they ever do is look at the slideshow view. But this is gold. Whether you have, one screen, two screens, whether you're using a webinar, this right here is where I live. And I just wanted to show you the little ellipses, the options here. You have next, previous, the last viewed, see all slides, zoom in, and why you would use the zoom in ellipses when you have the quick button, I don't know, but you have the option there. Hide the presenter view. Screen goes to black or white. And your pointer options, whether you want it to be a laser pointer, pen. So these are really just a repetitive of the quick little buttons that I showed you. You do have help here if you need it, and you have the option to end the show. All right, so I've got here blackout and whiteout, and I'll add these to the Google Doc to force their attention away from the slide to you while finding your place. And I've also been known to use blackout and whiteout to make an emotional point when I happen to be telling a very poignant story. It's really great if you happen to be in a dark room and everything goes black and you're telling a very poignant story. And you can also use it to signal a break. Say, hey, whenever you see a black screen or a white screen, that is an indication that we're going to go to break. Because sometimes if it's more of a discussion-based thing, I don't know exactly what slide the break is going to take place on, but I can indicate a break just by hitting my W or my B to black out or white out. Sorry. So the keyboard shortcuts that we talked about were to black out your screen and white out your screen, which is to do the B or the W keys. To get the pen, just do Control P to change the pointer to a pen so you can write. If you want to change it back, use Control A to get it back to the arrow. And then if you want to erase all of the annotation, just press the E key. And all of those are in the inside of the Google Doc. There is a link that has not only these keyboard shortcuts, but all of the keyboard shortcuts for the presenter view that's available for PowerPoint. So now is your turn to try. You'll still be able to hear my voice, but I want you to go find any presentation. I'm not going to make you give a presentation. This is for your eyes only, but I want you to open up a PowerPoint presentation, and I want you to try blackout, whiteout, and annotating and erasing. Because if you know how to do those four things, and also switching your pen back to your arrow, if you know how to do those, that's going to get you really far inside of the presentation. But part of the issue is that sometimes we come to a skills-based lesson like this, and it's like, oh my gosh, that's great information. 3 months from now, you give a presentation and you totally forget everything that you learned. So this is a little bit of hands-on time for you. While you're doing that, and once you have your presentation open and you are ready to practice, if you would just raise your hand, that would be amazing. And and if you need help, have a question, you feel free to send it in a chat. Or if you want to open your mic, feel free to ask your question that way too. But I'm going to give you 2 minutes to practice. and then I will come back, and I'm going to set my little timer here for 2 minutes. And that should give you enough time to set up and practice for a little bit. All right. Aha. I've got 2 people, so that's 2 out of 3 who don't have PowerPoint on their computer. So what I'm going to do, okay, I've got 3. In that case, I will go on to my next one. So do you guys have any questions about the presentation view or the shortcuts or anything that we have? And you, as I said, once again, you can feel free to ask your question in chat or to open up your mic. Okay, I don't think we have any questions. Well, thank you guys so much for coming today. This, I will have to say, since this is all of the people on right now are for my class, the worst thing that can happen to you is to not show up to your own presentation on time. I actually had started a presentation, and I was sitting in another room waiting for everybody to show up, and nobody was there. And come to find out, you guys were in a different location. So, so my tip for you is, I practiced last night, even going into the presentation, and then it looked different. So my 2 minutes is up there. So if you haven't done your presentation yet, I would do a run through at least twice to make sure, because evidently a run through once did not help me in this case. Anyway, thank you guys for showing up. I will add some notes to the Google Doc, and you will all have access to that. And if you have any questions, you've got my email. I'm going to go back to, I'm just going to hit 2 and then enter so that you can see my email address. If you have any questions, please feel free to shoot me an email. And it was a pleasure having you guys on today. Have a great day. Bye.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Jennifer.
You're very welcome.